Hello everyone, Caleb here, your host and game marshal, and we are back to the Weird West. Thank you so much for your patience during this hiatus. We've been busy. We've got the completed series of our Game of Thrones series we did for Patreon at patreon.com/soundslikeCrows if you want to check that out. I guested on the Orpheus Protocol, one of my favorite shows. I listen to it every week. I know from the survey responses we've gotten so far that a lot of people that enjoy our show enjoy the Orpheus Protocol. There's a lot of crossover. The editing is extremely well done. Love the acting of all the players on that show. Very interesting story. It's sort of like a modern espionage cosmic horror game made in its own system. But go to orpheusprotocol.com or look at Orpheus Protocol in your podcatcher. Check out the episodes I was on, the Gerhardt murders, and you shouldn't need... I kind of think you can listen to those episodes and you won't spoil the whole show for yourselves. So if you don't want to start at the beginning, head on over there. Speaking of our survey, we're trying to figure out what everybody enjoys about the show and kind of what we want to do next. So if you want to follow the link that's in these show notes or is posted on our website, please take that survey. It's going to make a huge deal to us. And there's not that many of you, this isn't like a 1 million subscriber YouTube channel. So everyone's comments genuinely help us. And it has already been 1.5 minutes. So with all of that out of the way, welcome back to the Weird West. Harper and Lucky have returned to the small town in which the mailman resides, with Doctor in tow. Abel, he's been attending to your medical needs for most of today while your brothers prepared for the journey ahead, scouted through the town. Or what we open up with is the sun has set and you all have returned to the tavern with the large broken mirror behind the bar top. The meat's long been cleaned out, although flies still hang around the old smoky room. You're all sat around like a round table, stained with beer and whiskey, the varnish torn away, on these scraped up wooden plank flooring. The two boys, having returned from town, Lucky and Harper, are filled in on the revelations of the day. And I think where we come back is the rest of the boys catching them up via newspaper that Thomas Crane has harnessed the power of Franks, of the Black Regiment, of all the creatures that the agency and the Rangers have spent so much time keeping secret from the world. He's brought them into the light of day, at least in Arizona. While the headline you read as we come in on Harper, his one eye scowling, reads, "Arizona to secede?" ? The body of the text is not quite as clickbaity. He has pushed the Texas Rangers out of Arizona, and everything seems to be up in the air. What you guys know of Arizona is it's a territory. It's not yet a proper state. So how this will go over in the South is kind of up for question. Even the journalist, the author of this piece, is not quite sure what's going to happen. And I think we open up on that scene with y'all around this table as Abel has been attended to. Abel, how this is going to work is this doctor is going to make a medicine roll. For every success and raise he gets, you're going to add a +1 to your vigor roll.
Okay.
He rolled a 2. I will spend 1 penny for you.
Yes.
He got a 4, so that's a +1 to your vigor roll.
And my vigor is a D8. Oops.
Yeah, I believe that doesn't sound right.
That sounds encouraging.
5.
Okay, cool. How many wounds do you have?
3.
Great. You're going to recover 1 wound in 5 days. So he's going to make another medicine roll. He fails. I will not spend a penny this time. Make an additional vigor roll. And each one of these will represent 5 days, but we'll talk about it afterwards.
Blew up the 6 into a 10.
Amazing. So you heal 2 wounds. So the doctor's prognosis earlier today is that you should rest up for 12 days, which you took as 10. And at the end of 10 days, your wounds will be healed. Thaddeus, just resting in this town, even without the aid of a bathhouse, you'll be fine. I think the mailman can set up something to help you you aid your recovery. And yeah, we open up on Harper kind of throwing this newspaper back down on the table.
Well, ain't this some shit? After all that, turns out we was helping him the whole fucking time. I mean, we knew it, didn't we? Right? We was playing right into his hands the whole time.
Well, if I'm honest, if it weren't his ass, the one who was running it, I wouldn't be so opposed to it.
We didn't have a choice. Abel's kids were on the line.
Yeah.
I mean, what's his game plan, you think? Take over all of America? I mean, how the hell's he gonna do that?
He's got
Probably.
the fucking Franks.
Shit, you seen him lucky? You know what they can do?
I mean, we took him down pretty easy, right?
Yeah, I think we got lucky.
What do you think an army's gonna do like that?
I guess I don't like thinking about it, but it's hard to imagine it's real.
Yeah, well, Crane sure loves thinking about it, it would seem.
Do you know what he plans to do? Mailman.
Well, I got a question for the group then, Harper. Well, what do you know of the man they call Chayton up in Sioux Nation?
The color drops out of Thaddeus' face a bit as he takes a sort of a slump in the chair.
Well, I don't know shit.
Oh, I must have been misinformed. A rare sight for me, I assure you. I was sure you crows knew something of him from my correspondence.
I don't think Abel missed that slump. He may be not moving very quick, but his eyes dart over like a snake to Thaddeus as he sees that slump. And there's that flicker of debate on his face, and then he decides to push it. I think you may just have the wrong crow.
Well, what do you know then, Abel?
I know when my brother's lying. Abel gestures towards Thaddeus. Not talking's the same as lying.
I may have heard the name before. So what's your question?
I'd like whatever information you have of his character, if I can trust him.
Well, from the 4 days that I spent with him, I would say he's honor-bound, true to his word, so long as you're willing to give him something. He may work with you. I'm sure he's pissed as hell. That's about all I know. Probably been about 5-7 years or something since I've seen him.
Is that a truthful answer? It seems like it.
Yeah.
Pissed as hell would rightly describe most people you've worked with, Thaddeus. I don't know if that necessarily would be new information.
4 days is a long time to spend with you.
It sure is.
Well, see, there you go.
Suppose I have follow-up questions, but to answer your question, Harper, I think Crane's recent objective is to peacefully transition Arizona to a autonomous state.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Ain't been a peaceful transition of state in the history of man, Harper.
It ain't gonna go well for him, if we get lucky anyway.
I do know he has certain diplomatic intents. He may be able to scrounge up help that is not, well, people the South don't want to mess with over territory as shitty as Arizona.
Ain't that the truth?
Damn. It's a strong play. If he weren't such a piece of shit.
Well, he is.
Yep.
How long will you be staying in my town, if you don't mind me asking?
We're gonna move as soon as we can, right?
Yeah.
Are we gonna wait for Abel to get better?
It's been a slow recovery, but we got a ride ahead of us I could ride.
Think you can ride in that condition?
I will ride in this condition.
Well, there you go. You heard him.
Good enough for me, I guess.
Harper kind of takes a second and reaches over to one of the whiskey bottles that's sitting on the table, drags it over, and looks down into the amber liquid. I got one more question for you. Where can I find Lori Crane? And he looks up towards the mailman.
I'd ask you what your purpose is, but I suppose that would cost me one as well.
He takes the glass of whiskey he has not yet sipped and swirls it around in its own glass before putting it back down on the table.
Currently, she's in Tombstone.
Of course she is.
What are you scheming up over there, Harper?
Well, it's the only thing left that Crane cares about, right?
I suppose we should talk about it when we're in polite company, Thaddeus.
No, I've seen what the mailman's about.
Yeah, he deals in information. If he were to overhear anything he might be able to sell, well, then maybe that information's no good. Not to us, anyway.
Sure.
I guess my payment will be...
And he looks at Thaddeus. His eyes are sort of dilated as he looks at you, Thaddeus.
Whatever happened to Agent Mayhew?
Last I saw him, he was headed down into the facility, following along with my brothers.
The rest of the Crow brothers have no recognition as that name crosses the mailman's lips.
You'll have to forgive me. I got pretty severely wounded not moments after he left.
I guess I need a persuasion roll for deception, yes?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
What do you mean? It's 100%
Yeah,
the
what-
truth,
yeah.
you know?
Uh-huh, totally.
Oh my God,
My
thank you.
wild die blew up. That's a 10.
Oof, I got a 9. I'll spend a penny.
Now let me, Caleb, what if one time in the history of our show,
Uh-huh.
Marshall doesn't blow something up for us? He blew up his dice, Caleb, and let him have the one.
No, dude, I'm
You bastard.
Come on. Are you kidding me? That's how the game works. I only got a 9. The mailman nods satisfactorily and looks to the rest of the Crow brothers.
And, when was the last time all of you saw Agent Mayhew?
I never met a man named Agent Mayhew.
Neither have I.
What?
Never met a Mayhew before.
Thaddeus just looks confused.
What are you talking about? Back with Rains. He was the navigator that got us through the maze
Old
with
Boot?
Old Boot. Yeah.
Old Boot got us through the maze.
With
Yeah.
his help, he had the...
No, Old Boot got us through the
It
maze.
was Old Boot.
Did you hit your fucking head, Thaddeus?
No, Agent Mayhew. He
I
was
ain't
there, he
gonna
was
tell you this
undercover on
again,
Mondragon's
Thaddeus.
boat.
I ain't never met no man that goes by the name Mayhew.
Huh. Well, why would you want to know something like that in the first place, mailman?
Are you willing to pay for that?
The mailman smiles.
You just asked us 2 questions. I think you owe us another one.
I would just like to know who I'm dealing with. Lucky, why are you staying with these boys? Seems to me like the information I have is, well, we got no reason to.
You know, Lucky, I don't think that we owe him a fucking answer.
Yeah, in fact, if you're going to be asking me questions, Lucky kind of digs his knuckles into the wood of the table. Maybe I should get one of my own.
Ask it.
Is Mom burning in hell right now?
Lucky's sorrowful eyes are met with his blank smile at the corner of his mouth.
Well, there's just the hunting grounds, Lucky. It's the place Alice went after he died. It's the place you and your brothers will go after you die, I imagine. And sure, I reckon there ain't a crow in history that ain't burning there. I haven't checked on her personally, Lucky, but the kind of woman she was.
You watch your fucking mouth.
So why are you with your brothers then? Seems to me like you want to quit now. You're all gonna die at some point. I'm sure that's clear to most of your brothers. If it ain't clear to you.
His smile broadens.
For a man with all the information, you don't really know shit about me, do you? Last thing I'd ever do is ditch family.
They're still family to you then.
Sounds like a second question to me. Harper kind of leans over and spits on the floor. Unless you all got anything else, I'm done here.
Yeah, I got some thinking to do. Lucky gets up and walks away.
I got a question. Hypothetically speaking, of course, if someone wanted to, say, kill you, send you back to the hunting grounds, how would we do that? Or how would they do that?
He brings the whiskey to his lips and then returns it to the table before he has a chance to take a drink.
I'm not sure that information would be worth anything to you, Ellis. I'll answer you if you want, but you'll be disappointed.
Let's hear it.
Simple, Ellis. You just gotta kill all of us.
He licks his lips as a fly crawls over the back of his ear, crawling into his eardrum with audible buzzing.
Abel's chair scrapes incredibly loudly on the floor as he presses it back and gets up without heed for the bump that he gives the table as he stands, turns and storms out after Lucky.
Harper looks over at Ellis, uncorks that bottle that he's holding, and kind of drops it onto the ground, leans back, taking just a large swig out of the bottle, and returns it to the table. Well, I ain't feeling that lucky. And he stands up, again scooting his chair back, turns with the bottle and leaves.
Why do you trust Way?
Who told you I trusted Way?
He shrugs.
Well, the answer is, I don't trust him. Not all the way. But, he's got a lot to offer. And so far, he's never stabbed me in the back. He's always been there to help me out when I asked him to. So until the day comes that he betrays me, I guess I have no choice but to trust him.
The day will come, Alice. The day will come. If you boys plan to kill Crane, that's something I would be,
He smiles.
interested in helping you with.
Well, got a question myself.
Shoot.
How noble of a man is Colton Crane?
That one actually takes him by surprise. He sits back in his chair, licks his lips again, puts his pinky finger into his ear, mimes spitting on the ground.
Lori was a good home for him as far as I know. His friends speak highly of him, went to a good school, and until you boys interfere, I imagine he's destined to be a good person.
Well, all right then.
Now, you were just about to tell us you were going to help us out with Crane.
I'd like to ask one more question about Agent Mayhew for my payment. What was he interested in? I can clarify if you wish.
Well, I suppose you don't mean to dole out incomplete tasks as dictated to him from his superiors. So yeah, go ahead and clarify for me.
I guess I would ask you the same question, Thaddeus. What kind of man was he?
Well, I think when it came right down to it, he was fearful, a bit arrogant, but his intentions were always good. And there's sort of almost like a blank stare on Thaddeus' face. He's not really making contact with the mailman as he says that.
I tell you this only because
He smiles.
I do desperately want you to kill Crane. Crane is traveling in 3 weeks' time to El Paso via train. Now, while I'm sure you could assault his mansion, it would be unlikely that you would leave Arizona alive. If you were to intercept him in El Paso, I believe your chances of success would be greater. He could not take as many troops, I imagine, especially since very few, he smiles, possess the knowledge that Crane is traveling to El Paso.
I guess this gives me a lot to think about. Thank you for your hospitality here. I think some of my brothers are already starting to hit the road. I think we better join them, Thaddeus.
Yeah. Of course.
Thaddeus sort of absentmindedly grabs for his spear and gives it a bit of a shake as he walks out the door.
Hiram Crow, your eyes are shot open and then quickly pull back, mostly closed, as you realize the harsh light of day is spilling in through one end of the stables that you've obviously spent the night in. You're in one of the stalls. You can hear the click-clacking of horses walked in and out, some of them stirring restlessly. And as you sort of roll over with something clutched in your right hand, you knock over a now empty decanter you brought with you here last night. And you look up into the face of a pure black horse that's sniffing you quizzically around your belly. It sniffs up to your chin and gets this wet, slimy substance on your chin. You lay there for a few moments, staring at the vaulted ceiling, and you can hear the sound that brought you awake, the sound of gunfire outside. Not sustained gunfire, just a few steady shots every few seconds. And after a few moments, those pass away. You're the kind of hungover that you're probably still drunk. Your head is spinning a little bit, and the crushing headache you're sure is soon to come has not yet set in. Everything's just a little too bright, and the floor feels as comfortable as any bed you've spent the night in. We get a point of view shot as Hiram is staring up as he brings his right arm into frame, and the object he's holding from his drunken deal the night before, brought into frame, is a single card. The back is an oily black, and as he flips it over, the worn face is revealed as the Ace of Spades. You lay there staring at it for a few moments, Hiram, before you hear purposed footfalls coming your way. Can't quite make it out, maybe 2 or 3 of them. Doesn't sound like stable hands, mostly because of the conversation that's occurring between the 3 of them. They are coming your way, and as your head sort of jolts, the room spins around you. You can see there's not a lot of places to hide in here. The slats around you that protect you from the center walkway are basically just, they almost look like jail cell bars, right? Like 2x4s spaced apart a few inches each. So it'd be very easy to see you inside of here. There is a water trough in here that maybe you could hide behind, but it would be very difficult. And they are close enough now that if you went out, they would probably obviously see you as well.
What can Hiram hear of the conversation? You said it sounds like they're not stable hands.
Would you just make a notice roll for me?
2 and a 2.
You can tell it's a man and a woman talking. The man is Crane. You can recognize Crane's timbre from here.
If he hears that Thomas Crane is on his way, his immediate reaction is going to be stuff the ace of spades back into a safe place, dust himself off as much as possible in the next couple of seconds, and then position himself in the most nonchalant way that he can. You said there was a handsome horse. Maybe he makes his way over to the horse, runs a hand along its side, giving it some pats, just admiring this beautiful creature.
Yeah, I like this idea. Sounds like maybe a performance roll. Do you think Hiram has a D8 in performance? Probably.
I think he does. That I was going to lobby for D8 because Hiram does a lot of bullshitting and a lot of pretending.
I think it's a D8 -2, just from you've got a stain on you. There's bottles in the stable with you. This is a hard sell.
Sure, that seems fair. Come on. That's a 1 and a 3. -2 is a 1. Oof. Can I spend a Benny to try to...
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, God. -2, 5.
Yeah, you stand up hastily, shove it in your pocket, go over to the horse, start petting it, look around, you see the bottles, and you shimmy them with your foot, and they somehow don't clack or clatter that much, and they slide behind the water trough. You turn back, straighten your hat. I think the only thing you don't have time to do is somehow your shirt got turned inside out. But yeah, you shove those behind the water trough, and you start petting this majestic horse. It's quite happy for the attention, and as the voices come closer, you do indeed recognize the woman that's talking.
I did hope that I would be able to purchase a third. Oh, Hiram, I didn't know you were...
You maybe look over to see Thomas Quain.
Tommy Quain!
Excellent.
You look over to see Thomas Crane, obviously shocked at your presence here. I'm going to have him roll a notice opposed by your 5. He also rolled a 5. He's obviously shocked to see you here. He's looking up and down your clothes, sort of looking in the stall for a moment. But your eyes are quickly brought from him, a withered-looking old man between him and the woman that Thomas was talking to, who you, of course, recognize as Meadow's mother.
Oh.
She's a bit older than the last time you saw her, a little bit shorter, and she is holding a pursed smile on her face that does not involve her eyes. She's wearing a short-brimmed but tall black hat with something running off the back of it. Not a veil, but...
Like a plume.
Big fluffy white feathers. Is that too much?
That's...
A little
not
cascade.
for her. That's
that
great.
seems on point. Maybe there's some lace that goes around the feathers, sort of making a flower petal shape.
That's cool.
Yeah, and maybe she's even got flowers embroidered into this black and white dress she's wearing. It's black with white lace and embroidered on the front with impeccable stitching. Her collar comes all the way up to her throat, and her shoulder pads are massive, with the long gown flowing down to the ground. The bottom of it getting a little bit muddy, but obviously she apparently has enough money to pay for it. She is arm in arm with this withered old man that's a good 20 years older than her, and is smiling absently at you with closed eyes and wearing a hat that would be big even for Abel. She looks you up and down with a smile as she says,
I believe I've met your stable hand before, Thomas. It's something to see you, Hiram Crow.
Can Hiram get any gauge on Thomas's demeanor towards Mrs. Nightingale?
I think you're a pretty fine reader of people, but Thomas is equally as good at evading people's perception. Oh, man, you're not going to like it, but I think notice versus persuasion, dude.
I think that's fine.
Cool.
Okay, so I got my D6s. I got a 5.
We're going to say he only has a D10 at this point in his life.
That's fair.
6. I think the read you get is that obviously he is not showing anything. He is purposefully staying as still as possible.
All right, I think Hiram's pride and his big mouth hindrance are gonna take over here. His immediate thought process is, I can't let this lady blow my cover. I can't let her undermine me in front of Thomas. I need to put her back in her place while creating as much space for myself as possible. So it's one of those razor's edge of how hard do I poke his mother-in-law, right?
Yeah.
Because he might like that. He might be really into that if somebody on the outside can knock her down a peg.
It's a gamble, but you might be right.
It's been a long time since I've seen you, Hiram Crow, although I can't say I missed our time apart.
Well, it isn't the good Lady Nightingale. What a wonderful surprise to see. I'm afraid I'm not Thomas's stable hand. I'm not qualified for that. You know me. I'm all thumbs,
he says with the most subtle glance to her shot-off thumb that he can manage.
Her pursed smile turns into a clenched jaw as she balls that hand into a fist, the black glove's thumb not quite conforming to the rest of the fist. I'm going to make one more roll here for Thomas. Thomas has the faintest of smiles on the side of the face that she cannot see.
I think he'll follow that up and just say,
Your propriety is mistaken. It's Mrs. Werther now. I am a newlywed, and I would appreciate you referring to me as such.
Crane quickly takes a step forward and says,
Mrs. Werther, I do know that Hiram is a bit of a hothead and he gets into some trouble sometimes, but he is very important to our organization, and I'm sure once you have time to become more familiar with the man he is now.
And Thomas looks at you with a smile, his eyes glancing back to the trough before glancing back to you.
Damn.
You'll see that he is an invaluable member of what we, and he stares at her when he says that, do here.
She kind of like puts up her chin at you with a humph.
Hiram, this is Mr. Werther. He's coming aboard onto our future prospects. Although back in the military, I heard they called him Sergeant... I'm not in the military anymore. What was your name? Hiram, you said?
Hiram strides forward, standing a little bit straighter after the praise that Thomas has showered him with, sticks out a hand, puts on a gleaming smile to shake Mr. Werther's hand.
His hands are shaking profusely as his right hand comes forward to meet your grasp. And when you grasp it, it feels brittle, like something about to break.
Hiram squeezes with polite firmness, not trying to injure this old-timer.
Hiram Crow, sir. At your service. Wonderful to have you here with us, and the good Thomas Crane. We're a room full of changed men. Men on the way up to the top.
Well, I know my life's improved considerably since I got this young belle in my life.
And he like laughs and like elbows the former Miss Nightingale next to him, who smiles at him with a predatory grin as she glances back to you.
Hiram turns to the new Mrs. Werther and says,
We're all just looking for a better life, working our way up. Birds of a feather,
Well, that's enough introductions. Hiram, if you're done playing at stable hand for the day, why don't you come join us on the lawn? My wife has put together an exhibition of, well, I think you'll enjoy it.
Oh, sounds like a wonderful opportunity to me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Mrs. Werther, Mr. Werther, would you mind going ahead for just a moment while I speak with dear Hiram here?
She gives a purse smile and grunt, and he goes,
Of course, just more time with the new lady.
He smiles, and then they both walk out at his pace.
Hiram, are you quite all right? You were in a state yesterday.
Hiram runs his tongue over his teeth as he subconsciously glances back to the trough as well, nodding his head, and then back to Thomas, all smiles.
Of course, Thomas, I appreciate your concern. I'm right as rain. Nothing a good night's sleep can't handle.
Hiram, it is important to me that if you are to be a great part in the days to come, that you play that part to the best of your ability. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Hiram meets Thomas's gaze. There's almost a tangible weight in his pocket where the ace of spades lingers, and he says,
I understand, Thomas.
He kind of grabs both of your shoulders and smiles and kind of brings himself a little bit closer to your face, his eyes darting between yours, almost trying to peer into what lays behind them.
Hiram, It isn't about the face you have. It's about the face you wear.
I think there's a gleam in Hiram's eye as he says that, and his smile gets a little bit wider. Just gotta put on the right mask, right?
You're goddamned right, he says with exaggeration. He pats you on the shoulder as he lets you go and grabs your shoulder and starts to take you out into the lawn with a jaunt.
I think there's a brief fleeting moment while they're still in the barn together where Hiram considers warning Thomas about the former Mrs. Nightingale, but the stakes are too high, and at this point, he's still hoping he can fly under the radar, so to speak. So if Thomas is not bringing that to him, he's going to let it go and allow himself to be steered to the exhibition.
So you're really going with Isaac being 2 wounds deep?
That sucks, dude.
You know,
That's not a good idea.
That's what the doc did for us.
We can rest in town.
Are you guys going to walk to Fort Frogmouth for Abel's children? Are you going to Flagstaff first? What's the plan here?
I mean, I'm thinking Flagstaff first,
Mm-hmm.
so we can at least get horses, and then, I don't know, Abel, Isaac, do you want to rest? Do you want to try to get at least one of those wounds back before we go?
Yeah, probably one.
Let's just hang out in Flagstaff instead. I would prefer not to hang out in Manitou Town.
I entirely agree. We can hang out in Flagstaff. It gives us a few days to get horses, make sure we have ammo and we're loaded for bear and all that shit.
How much do horses cost?
I think they're like $40 a pop. I think you guys made a bunch of money from Ghost Rock. Probably have some money that you got out of prison in California and shit. I'm sure you guys have enough. And if you guys are wanting to buy other big purchases in the future, we can look at old episodes and do some math if that's cool.
Okay.
Well, in that case, it takes you a day and a half to travel to Flagstaff. It's sort of surrounded by some nice foresty areas. It's not what you typically think of for Arizona, much greener than you think it would be. Of course, Harper and Lucky have already been here, and you guys remember finding a stable on your way into town. Y'all can buy some horses and buy some lodging for a couple weeks if that's what you want to do.
Well, I imagine even on the way over here, Abel is just in such a shitty condition that it slowly becomes aware that we cannot keep going in that condition.
Yeah.
That's cool. You guys have to take multiple breaks or force Abel to take breaks. Maybe even some of his like stitching breaks open on the way back to Flagstaff, and we just sort of hand wave it that you get another doctor once you get back to town. I don't think we care what you guys do for 10 days. You wait in Flagstaff for 10 days. Thaddeus does some gambling maybe.
I mean, yeah, unless anybody's going to press me about it, Thaddeus is going to do some gambling if there's people around.
10 days pass. Abel, you're healed up for the first time in a while. Maybe not perfect
Yeah.
at this point. You still got some aches, some sores, but you're healed of your wounds. And I think the next scene the camera really jumps to is you guys traveling south towards Fort Frogmouth. There are some hilly areas around you, pines, lots of birds chirping actually, and the air smells fresh. It's not like the salty sea air or the dank, rank stench of Flagstaff. It's nice country weather like you would feel back home. You're on an old dirt road. A few wagons and stage coaches have passed you. You're on some El Cheapo horses, along with some worn saddles as you're traveling along. We come on to you guys after a couple hours of silence, growing more unbearable by the moment.
So I think that what transpired in that Manitou's crazy newspaper city between Ellis and Thaddeus is still kind of weighing on my mind. I don't know how you feel, Marshall, but I think that the two of them probably took some time apart in Flagstaff just to cool off.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Ellis has always been his favorite. So.
Maybe got a different hotel room or different hotel.
Oh, yeah, we were different rooms or something like that. Always been the other days. And then, you know, when it came right down to it, Abel's still here, so.
So I think Ellis kind of rides up next to Thaddeus.
So, do any gambling back there in Flagstaff?
I don't know, I made like $30-40. Wasn't, too lucrative there. Seems like I don't know what the hell they were all up to, but we're not for playing.
Well, at least you're in the green.
Well, yeah, I suppose there's that. What do you want, Ellis? You've been kind of staying clear for a while.
Yeah, something's been bothering me. I don't know how to say this, so I'm just gonna come out with it. I feel bad about what I said about you hiding in a cave, just gambling your life away or something like that.
Oh, Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose you're not entirely wrong, but I appreciate you saying that.
I just feel like it was wrong of me to say that. You know you're always welcome in Dodge, Thaddeus, no matter what happens. Eliza will give you a place to stay.
I mean, you sure about that? She sure was pretty angry at me last I saw her.
Yeah, give her some time.
Yeah, maybe. We gotta get through all this anyway.
Why is that Manitow asking you so many questions about these different people there? Who are they?
Well, I mean, they're folks I've known throughout my life, and I suppose you could say some significant events had happened. I mean, Mayhew, I don't understand why you don't remember, but I'm suspecting I'm beginning to understand. That other one, Chayton?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this, as he picks up the spear again, sort of points it at him, this is his, and I took it from him after he and his fellow Sioux Nation braves held me captive out west of Deadwood. So, well, I did what I had to do and escaped, and I got out with this, and I reckon he probably wants it back. If Mailman's asking about him, that means he's, I don't know, on the move.
That's a little strange that he asked specifically about him, right? All of us have had unfavorable run-ins with all sorts of colorful folk in our lives, but he didn't ask us a single question. Why Chayton?
Well, he also asked about what kind of man he was dealing with.
So you think Chayton's been through there before? Then he knew to ask about Chayton to you. He knows you two are connected.
Hell, he'd be a man of focus to do it if he knew he'd come here. But no, I think he was talking about us. And he got a pretty good read of everybody else, but, you know, poker face and all that. Chayton had a sister. I mentioned her to her you once before, back before that business with the judge in Tombstone. Yeah, well, she had a nasty accident the night I escaped. I assure you, I was completely unrelated, but it did in some way help me escape. And with y'all not remembering Mayhew, I'm wondering if maybe I did have a bit more of a hand in it. But who's to say, right?
You think Chayton might be a danger to us, Thaddeus? You think he's out here looking for you?
I mean, if he came this far south to find me, then sure as shit, he's dangerous.
There's a distant gunshot on the road up ahead. Whoever's riding at the front can see a group of riders atop skittish horses sat still on the road, seemingly at odds with one another. No one falls. It's hard to even make out detail at this distance. About 6 riders total congregated on the road.
Harper's probably up at the front, right? He's normally like the tracker and the survivalist.
Yeah, he can see really good.
Yeah, yeah. I think he kind of holds his horse up as soon as he hears the gunshot and kind of glances over his shoulder and just kind of continues that pace. You know, I don't think he takes off or anything.
As you get closer, they seem to be having a sort of spirited discussion that's being lost in the light wind rustling your hats.
Does it look violent or anything?
No, as you come closer, there's one man sort of at odds with the other 5. The 5 have Winchesters in hand, sort of resting on their hips. The man at odds with them is just holding a revolver in his left hand, holding the reins with his right.
I'm done fooling around. You boys better move on. You ain't gonna dissuade me from this. You ain't done shit about it. Turn yourself around, else you're gonna get shot like the rest of them that protect those sons of bitches.
And the man spits on the ground. As you guys pull up, the one man with the revolver looks to you.
Now look here. These are law-abiding citizens. Here.
Points to a shiny badge on his chest. Looks like a deputy's badge.
Now, you folks here, y'all posse up now. They're gonna take my side of this. Ain't no one gonna stand against the law in Arizona.
Whoa. What's going on here?
One of the 5 men turns his horse around. He's got worn clothes, a sunburnt face, and a sort of sun-bleached beard as he holds the rifle casually in his right hand.
This man may be a lawman, but he ain't no man of justice. You from around these parts?
Just passing through, I think.
Well, there ain't no need to take sides here, friend. Deputy's in the wrong here. We're trying to make sure he ain't in town for what's about to happen. Then I reckon you probably don't want to be in town for what's going to happen either.
Abel adjusts himself in that saddle, hands on the saddle horn, kind of like raises up and sits back down with a little groan and looks at this man with the tired expression of somebody who has truly seen everything. And what is about to happen that we don't want to be there for?
The deputy shouts, "They aim to commit murder." The man speaking to you with the sun-bleached hair spits over his shoulder. "Ain't nothing murderous about it. Clanton twins need a hang for what they done. The sheriff's been holding on to them for months now with ain't a lick of justice to happen, waiting for some judge or some bullshit. We ain't waiting no more for our justice."
Well, hell, how many are keeping them locked up there?
"Just the 3 of them.
There's the 5 of you?
We ain't just 5, friend. Whole towns turn against these sons of bitches that have forsaken their duty." And he spits over his shoulder again.
Well, lucky for you, gentlemen. Lucky kind of poises himself in a very confident manner, pulls out his Texas Ranger badge and holds it up to his face as it gleams right next to his aviator glasses. The Texas Rangers are here to handle this for you.
His grimace turns more sour. "I thought Crane kicked your lot out. Just the Arizona Rangers residing here. Texas Rangers were killed on sight as of 2 days ago, but I'm in a generous mood."
Are you? Harper glares at this man. "Are you in a generous mood?" And he kind of slides off of his saddle, gets up in his face. "What the fuck makes you think that you're gonna be able to fucking dissuade anything that we're gonna do?
Who the hell are you?
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
What's a couple Texas Rangers doing here?"
I don't think that's any of your goddamn fucking business."
Yeah, my brother asked you a question.
Make an intimidation roll so he'll answer this question.
Well, I don't have that.
Yeah, don't make it
Harper?
me.
I don't, but can I have +2 because I look scary as fuck?
Absolutely, yeah. Make it just +1 because you'll get a -1 from his disposition.
Okay. That's Snake Eyes.
He actions his lever, ejecting a full round onto the dust below him in an attempt at intimidation. "Yeah, I am in a generous mood, Texie boy. You better turn around and go back the way you came before we kill you."
Hey, guess what? I ain't. Harper draws his pistol.
Great, let's do it, guys.
Oh, boy.
Abel, you go first. Harper draws his weapon. The ranchers, the 5 men on their horses, are starting to turn around and level their weapons. You see the deputy wide-eyed going for his gun as well. What would you like to do? Sturdy as a rock on top of your mount.
I would like to leverage that quick draw holster to pull out Ellis's pistol, and then I'm going to fan the hammer. I'm only at -2, 6, 7 damage.
Shaken.
Second target, 5 damage.
Not even shaken.
Can I spend a Benny and re-roll this damage?
Yeah, you can now.
All right, because I roll a 2 and a 1, and that's just garbage. 9 damage.
Shaken.
Abel, on the back of this horse, just whips that pistol out and without even thinking, just uses his knees to kind of turn the horse to the side as he fans that hammer and unloads 6 rounds towards these guys.
2 of them start to shoot. The deputy takes 22 damage as this 45 caliber Winchester knocks him off his horse. One of them shoots at Abel and one of them shoots at Harper. Both are misses. Next, a deputy who's dead, so Harper.
I'm gonna fan the hammer. I'm at -4. Literally fucking every miss. Oh, I can re-roll that whole fucking thing with 1 Benny.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Harper misses every shot somehow from point blank. I'm spending another Benny. I hit 2. The guy in front of me is dead. The other guy did 7. I think what it is he's more concerned about shooting the guy right in his face than anything. So he draws his pistol. I think he shoots him like right in the knee. And then like as the guy like collapses to the ground and starts yelling, he just turns and starts just, loosing the rest of the shots into the crowd. And they all go wild.
Lucky.
Lucky places his hand on Lady before realizing he has something better he can use, and he whips out the hose that's been attached to his back, and he pulls out the nozzle, which is attached to a fucking flamethrower. Is this a quick draw? Can I get that?
Probably a -2 on your first thing.
Absolutely.
I will give you a Benny for spending a flamethrower, though. That's
yes,
cool.
give me. He's gonna buck his horse and get as close as humanly possible.
You make a shooting roll.
Just 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, so -2 for pulling it out.
Okay, so hit, no raise.
36?
Yep. Roll for each victim separately
Oh, interesting.
for
Okay.
damage.
15 for the first. 12. And then a 17 for the last one.
Its screech forms a harmony with their screams as the horses start to run as their hair catches on fire. Several of them topple over. I don't think any of them have heard the term stop, drop, and roll in their lives. It's a few hectic screaming moments before they all fall silent.
That's what you get with messing with the Texas Rangers.
The last rancher's horse rears up. He pulls his horse around, tries to kick it into gear. He hasn't moved mechanically, and it's your turn, Marshall.
This is a bit of a mess. Well, nobody can know that they're on their way in. He's gonna urge the horse forward as best he can and go ahead and try to stab at him with his spear. The D8 exploded. 11 damage.
How'd he kill him?
As he's trying to rear his horse back, Thaddeus charges forward and catches him under the ribs as he's urging his horse forward, driving past and behind the horse, and pulls the man off the side with a loud thud.
Whoa, what the fuck, Thaddeus? He was running away.
Excuse me. Yeah, I figured you didn't want anybody to know that the Lucky Crow burned 3 people alive.
They killed a
You're
deputy,
welcome.
Thaddeus.
I think it was maybe a bit excessive.
Abel hops off his horse to inspect the one that was speared. Is he alive at all? Are any of these guys alive at all?
The guy that Harper shot is, because he shot him in the knee.
God damn it, Thaddeus. Why'd you have to do that? As Abel loads his pistol.
I'm sorry, what?
He was gonna be the one we could talk to, damn it. Abel turns away angrily to stalk towards that wounded guy.
Past the 3 burning bodies he didn't comment on.
Yeah, now I'm the asshole because I went in with y'all. All right, yeah. Okay.
I don't know. You look like you might still be able to talk. As Harper kind of steps forward and kicks the rifle away from the man that he shot in the knee.
Yeah, I reckon so. Can you still speak, boy?
Can. Will's another,
You want to test me again? And Harper presses the pistol into his elbow or something.
Make an intimidation roll.
I would assume there's some pluses to this.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a -3 is what I'm going to do.
Oh, okay.
All right, well, then I got a 3.
He got a -1.
All right, well, what do you know about this fort then?
What the fuck do you want to know?
I want to know what you know. How many people's up there?
I don't know, 100?
100? Y'all were planning on breaking into a fort with 100 people?
The Rangers left. We thought you all left.
Boy, are you stupid? How many fucking people are at that fort that were gonna protect the Clanton twins from you and y'all?
I guess now it's just 2.
Just 2. Great. Abel, you got any more questions?
Yeah, what's the sheriff's name?
Elwood.
Fine, yeah, I'm done with this son of a bitch.
Great. Harper reaches down to this guy's gun belt and starts pulling off the rounds that he had and using them to load up his own pistol again. Cocks the hammer back. You know, I said I wasn't feeling very generous, but I think I maybe changed my mind. I could just let you sit here and bleed out and die a long, painful death, but... And then I think we cut away to the sound of a gunshot.
Thank you so much for listening to Sounds Like Crows. Sounds Like Crows is brought to you by our lovely patrons, Greg Gray, Ariel Weiss, Kyle Neese, Jared, Aaron Blackston, and Jonathan Turner. Thank you so much. In addition this week, thanks to Thinking Man, Goose, Prime. Thank you 3 so much. David Hayes, thank you. And Matt Birch, thank you all so much. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, consider telling a friend about us, or right now, go take our survey. We're running a survey for about the next month or so, which gives us a real good gauge of what y'all are enjoying about the show. I've been really blown away by the responses so far, but if you haven't taken it, please do that. It's genuinely going to make a huge difference in what we decide to do next and the type of content we keep pursuing. A link to that will be in the show notes and also on our website. Thanks to all the artists and musicians that contribute to this week's episode. Thank you to James Quinn, Rudy Zuniga, Levi Rojas, and William Cartwright for providing music on this week's episode. The show would not be the same without them. Thank you to our executive producer, Alexandria Majan. Thanks, Alex. She put together the whole survey for us pretty much. So if you're not going to do it for me, do it for Alex. Just saying. thank you to my wonderful cast. You can find Marshall Sims, who played Thaddeus Crow, on Twitter at Mr. Malicious1. You can find my brother Isaac on Twitter at Abel the Crow. You can find Cameron Reed, who played Little Baby Daisy Crow, on Twitter at CJReed211. Ellis Crow was portrayed by Alex Horrell at Alex Horrell. And Luciano Lucky Crow was played by Cameron Day, who you can find on our Discord server. I got told by some new patrons recently that they didn't really take our offer to come hang out on Discord seriously. And like, that's a real offer, y'all. We hang out and voice fairly regularly. We're always chatting. We'll respond to literally everything you want to talk about in the show. Unless it's spoilery, you know, then I'm going to be tight-lipped. But if you want to talk about the process of making the show or ask us about our characters or whatever, most of us are pretty active on the server. So head over to patreon.com/soundslikeCrows. And supporting us on the $2 level gets you access to that Discord server. And also, there's just a bunch of great people there that are super fun to hang out with. It's kind of my primary social media outlet at this point. It's where I go to see what everybody's up to in the world and share stuff I'm up to. If you are supporting us on Patreon in a tier that gets you access to extra content on Patreon, we just dropped the rest of those Game of Thrones episodes that we recorded a while back. Pretty happy with those. Thank you so much to Allie Nesbitt for editing those for me. Thank you, Allie. And then if you want even more content, I was on the Orpheus Protocol last week and this week. Their episodes drop on Monday as well, so we're 2 episodes into this arc that I was guesting on. Go check out that. It's called The Gerhardt Murders. I'm sure you heard me talk about it at the top of the show, so I'm going to shut up, and with all that out of the way, thank you so much, and we'll see you next Monday. At -2, they all get a d6. Yeah, so they all die. Its screech forms a harmony with their screams as the horses start to run as their hair catches on fire. Several of them topple over. I don't think any of them have heard the terms stop, drop, and roll in their lives. It's a few hectic screaming moments before they all fall silent.
Holy shit. Was that too much?
The last dude will make a guts roll. Oh, he makes it. The last rancher's horse rears up as he goes, "Holy shit!" And Abel, Ellis, it's your turn.
Ellis just kind of laughs from the back of his horse. Wait, I can't even do an Ellis laugh. No, that's terrible. That's all bad.
That was pathetic.
Let me try that again.
Well, I'm probably going to keep that. So.
Great.
You could do a laugh.
I can't now.
Okay. Yeah,